Hey up, it's Steve from that old Yorkshire geek. I nearly forgot what I was then. Bit of news here from Bounding Into Comics. It's kind of a review, to be honest. I might be here a while, because I think it's quite a long article. I've not read it all. I've just seen the headline. I thought, what the hell? Let's have a look. And the headline is, The Most Hilarious Woke Pop Culture Fails of 2022. So I'm not a big fan of the word woke, but, you know, we'll go with it. But we'll see what it says. Anyway, where are we? There we go. I'm going to have to adjust this again now, aren't I? Am I? Yes, I am. There we go. There you go. The most hilarious woke pop culture fails of 2022. Got a picture of She-Hulk, picture of, I forgot his name, from Rings of Power. He's actually one of my favourite characters, but I thought he was quite good, to be honest. But I can't remember his name. The elf. And is that Meghan Markle? I think it is, isn't it? Anyway, this is from Bounding Into Comics, so it could get spicy, but we will see. As usual, links in the description. And don't forget, while you're at it, like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell. I'm also on Rumble, Spotify, Anchor.fm, Amazon Music Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts. I think I am, anyway. I think technically I am. I've never actually checked to see if they do play. And what else? Social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Links are in the description. It says there. It says down. Where are we? Over that way. It's over there in the corner. Links in description. Right. This is from Slade Hale. Oh, right. I thought it would be John F. Trent, but it isn't. It's Slade Hale. Cool name. Right, while 2021 was a smorgasbord of woke insanity and unfathomable stupidity, 2022 ended up being a turning point which finally put the radical movement fully on its heels. People from all sides of the political spectrum banded together, at least unofficially, to stem the tide of left-wing extremism. Left-wing extreme radicalism, which had soured and permeated the cultural sphere. Who the hell's that? Some drag queens indoctrinating children on Nickelodeon via YouTube. Oh, there you go. Pride. See, trying to get, babies essentially to turn gay. Nothing against gay people. But don't turn the kids. Don't indoctrinate them with propaganda. The result was a series of epic takedowns and self-owns against woke celebrities, studios and politicians who figured 2022 was going to be a repeat of the previous year. The results were delightfully catastrophic for the radical left, and the damage done has prevented them from gaining any ground moving forward. As we move into 2023, it's important to take a look back at the previous year's most hilarious leftist blunders. Don't say leftist, because it's not a left or right thing. There's woke people on both sides. It's a mindset thing, isn't it? It's nothing to do with politics. It sort of is, but it's more of as I said, it's a mindset, isn't it? What's happened there? Why is that not going all the way down? There we go. For no other reason than to remind ourselves just how intellectually stunted and ideologically fragile this movement really is. Doing so will help shore up reserves as we press our attack and hopefully banish this insufferable fad back into the phantom zone where it belongs. I agree with that, but just don't make it a left or right thing. Right, Top Gun Maverick embarrasses every woke movie. In the sea of drab, uninspired, lifeless left-wing drivel came Top Gun Maverick, a surprise hit that sought to capitalise on the iconic and timeless success of the 1986 original, and succeeded. Tom Cruise returned to the role that helped make him famous while stripping the film down to its most basic and functional components. It was essentially the Star Wars trench run, wasn't it? But done well. Not that Star Wars trench run wasn't done well, it was a recreation done well. That meant no political pandering, no lecturing, no identity politics, and no racially divisive content. Top Gun Maverick cast... I mean, that's it. Don't make it left or right. That's what woke is. It's political pandering, lecturing, identity politics, and being racially divisive for no reason other than to be racially divisive. That's what woke is in 2022/23. Never mind politics. Left and right. It happens, but it's both sides of the aisle, so to speak. Anyway, Top Gun Maverick cast both men and women in roles that felt authentic and likeable, and kept a large percentage of the original's free-spirited action drama appeal. The recipe was one of success, to the tune of nearly $1.5 billion in ticket sales. And there's Tom Cruise with Goose, the son of... not Goose. Rooster, the son of Goose. This level of astonishing success came at a time when the go-to excuse for woke cinematic bombs was the fear of COVID-19. Said woke bombs included Disney's Lightyear, the cringy female-centric action dud. I'm not seeing it. Oh, sorry. The cringy female-centric action dud, the 355, the gay rom-com bros, and the LGBTQ-themed kids film Strange World. Not seen any of them. By the way, speaking of LGBTQ, there was in the recent UK census, it's been we found out how big the LGBTQ community is in England and Wales, and it's 1.5 million or thereabouts. So out of a population of what, 70 million, England and Wales, I think it's about 70 million ish. So 1.5 million. Part of the LGBTQ community. I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying that's pretty much a minority in it. Right, Halo series tanks on arrival. The unmasked Master Chief in the Halo TV series from Paramount, and I forgot who played him. It was only a matter of time. By the way, I saw episode 1 and didn't see any others. It was only a matter of time before someone attempted a full-fledged serialised live-action treatment of Halo that went beyond Forward Unto Dawn and Nightfall. There were two like direct-to-DVD films, I think, weren't there? That I've not seen. I'm not a massive Halo fan, to be honest. And Paramount thought it was up to the task. What's his face? Peter Jackson and... I forgot his name now. Him that did District 9. I forgot his name. Neil Blomkamp. They were supposed to do a Halo film, weren't they? And that never happened. But if you watch District 9, I think they used a lot of the designs for weapons and stuff like that they were going to use in Halo went into District 9. Anyway, its attempt to woo long-time gaming fans for the franchise was met with rejection, all thanks to woke identity politics, atrocious writing, here we go, and the left's standard practice of deconstructing popular male heroes. Halo wasn't Halo at all, and the most galling aspect is how it wore the skin of the popular gaming franchise while simultaneously trying to sideload in a bunch of left-wing tribe. He's obsessed with this left-wing stuff, it's getting on my nerves now. That combined with a budget that couldn't match the show's vision led to a series forced to fall back on unnecessary talking and run-around exposition. As I said, I saw episode 1, and that were enough, turned it off. I think immediately took his helmet off, didn't he? Did Master Chief, more or less, from what I've heard. And of course, the portrayal of Master Chief, by actor Pablo Schreiber, was insulting to long-time fans who knew the character's stoic history inside and out. The Chief spent most of his on-screen time out of suit, which is atypical. He was like Judge Dredd, wasn't he? He never took his helmet off in the games. Then came the feels, complete with a romantic subplot involving the Chief bedding a lifelong Covenant-allied human woman in record time. Or did she bed him? I don't know. I've not seen it, so I don't know. Apart from the first episode. It was a complete mess that thought it was being clever with character development. That's what they all do. They all think they're being clever, but they're not. They're just being pandering. Not realising that it had blown all of the fan favourites out of the airlock, only to replace them with body snatcher-esque substitutes. Halo is not a woke property by any stretch of the imagination, yet the showrunners tried to shoehorn it in anyways, costing Paramount millions in the process. And a similar thing happened with, with The Expanse, didn't it? Which was a super popular science fiction series on Amazon. And then I think one season of it, not the last one, the previous one, kind of went all woke, didn't it? And I think they tried to correct it a bit in the final season. But anyway. Right, Moses Ingram derails Star Wars Obi-Wan. And there she is as, I forgot her name. The Inquisitor. I forgot what she's called. Anyway, I'm sure we'll find out. The announcement of a live-action, that just shows what an impression that series had on me, doesn't it? The announcement of a live-action Obi-Wan TV series starring Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen perked the eyebrows of quite a few Star Wars fans, but it quickly became clear that the showrunners had other plans, wedged inside an obtuse, contradictory story full of plot holes. Oh, here we go. Was Reva Savanda. Is she related to Newt Scamander? It rhymes. That's what George Lucas is always saying. Played by black actress Moses Ingram. What's that got to do with anything? I don't know. We stress her skin colour only because Disney did it first. Oh, yes, they did, for no apparent reason. Ingram quickly became the focal point of the story, leaving the titular character in the background for a large chunk of the running time. See what they did? When the series started and we saw her, and she was a pretty, a hateful character. She wasn't very good. And people said they didn't like it, so Disney immediately started calling people that didn't like her character racists. I said there was no room for racism, but obviously there were probably some people being racist, but the vast majority of critics were saying she just wasn't a very good character, which she wasn't. Quite diabolical, to be honest. Ingram quickly became the focal point of the story. Oh, I've just read that now, but I'll read it again. Leaving the titular character in the background for a large chunk of the running time, meaning Obi-Wan's in the background for a large chunk of the running time, which was predicted that it wouldn't be a series about Obi-Wan. Ended up being the Leia and Reva series, didn't it? Her character was completely pointless and only served to distract attention away from what should have been an inevitable face-off between former Jedi Master and Padawan learner. But it shouldn't even have been that. They should never have met, Vader and Obi-Wan. But they did. And what did Obi-Wan do? He ran off. He stood there, and then it was like a comedy skit. He went, and ran away. Dear. Of course, that confrontation did take place, but only after a series of illogical episodes managed to drag out a paper-thin story in the hopes that audiences would stay on board for the ride. Obi-Wan was a terrible show for many reasons, but its failure was far more damaging to Moses Ingram and her character, who was prioritised from day one to be a walking woke billboard. At least they haven't mentioned the left wing in this section, thank God. Reva was so bad that even greedy toy and prop companies began cancelling her merchandise due to her unpopularity. See, are they going to call Hasbro racist? Toy maker Hasbro was forced to cancel a crowdfunding campaign for Reva's double-bladed Inquisitor lightsaber after it failed to meet its minimum backing goal. Only 1,413 backers signed on after 1.5 months. A far cry from the minimum 5,000 required for a green light. I think at the same time, they were like a G.I. Joe one, which easily met its minimum backing goal. Oh, and there's a picture, there you go, target 5,000, and it wasn't funded. Once again, the failure was self-imposed by Disney and the Obi-Wan writers, showrunners and cast members, all of whom accused lifelong Star Wars fans of racism, attacking and labelling the audience that pays for goods and services is a rather unorthodox and ultimately unsuccessful business strategy. Is it? Get woke, go broke. Bros goes bellies... Is it bros or bros? Bros, isn't it? Bros goes belly up. I keep saying bros because in the UK, there were a pop group, a pop duo, called Bros in the 80s, early 90s. I can't remember when they were around. One of them became quite a famous action actor, Matt Goss, or is it Luke Goss? There were Matt Goss and Luke Goss. One of them became an actor. Or maybe they both became actors, but one of them was more successful than the other. It was in like Hellboy 2 and stuff like that, and the remakes of Death Race 2000 and stuff. Anyway. The LGBTQ movement was pushed hard for artificial overrepresentation into every sphere of culture, and their goal is to usurp and take control of the narrative for all time. Their woke campaign suffered a massive setback when the gay rom-com Bros spiralled into the ground like a kamikaze pilot. The film cost $22 million to make, yet scraped only $14.8 million in ticket sales to show for it. Naturally, the excuse given is that most people are evil homophobes who can't handle a gay comedy film, or alternatively, the overwhelmingly straight population had little to nothing in common with the characters or themes of the film and chose not to go see it. More so, the supposed legions of LGBTQ folks didn't head to the theatre to see it either, which is telling. It was probably just a bad film. It was a massive setback for the extreme radicalised LGBTQ movement, a microcosm of the gay population that prioritises its own political self-interest over actual tolerance and social unity. Nobody was interested in it, and it was quickly chucked in the dustbin of silver screen history. In fact, you forgot it even existed until we reminded you, pretty much. There we go. What is a woman? Sends the left into a tailspin. What's this say? Matt Walsh visits an African tribe in What is a Woman 2022. I've never heard of this one. The entire woke establishment was close to dousing themselves in gasoline and lighting a match when political pundit Matt Walsh debuted his documentary What is a Woman on the Daily Wire Plus platform. Hey, excuse me, let's have a little sip of coffee. The question, simple as it may appear, has stumped a left, here he goes again, that has confused itself via its own contradictory gobbledygook and nonsense. We praise the documentary for its no-nonsense approach to the topic of radical gender theory, spearheaded by serial child abusers Alfred Kinsey and John Money, I don't know. I don't keep up on these sort of things. In the documentary, Walsh speaks to all manner of nose-ringed, artificially tinted-haired, radical LGBTQ activists in academia and the medical field, showcasing the simultaneous horrors and stupidity of this ideology. Matt Walsh stumps an LGBTQ academic in What is a Woman? Oh, has he stumped him? Does he look stumped there? If you say so. During each encounter, Walsh stumps them all by asking the titular question, what is a woman? Just like Supreme Court nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson, they are either unable or unwilling to answer the question. What audiences are left with is a demonstration of circular left-wing, pseudo-logic and dead-ended arguments that showcase just how weak and frail radical gender theory really is. I just hate left and right. I do. It does. That's trouble with American politics. It's all left and right. There's some people I like as well on YouTube that if you follow left, what are traditionally called leftist or left wing political policies, you're a communist straight away. But you're not. They said Americans will say socialism. Oh, that's communism. No, it's not. Anyway, it also shines a light on the disgusting practice of sexualising little school children in this garbage, up to and including exposing them to full-fledged pornographic material. The left's outrage against this documentary was loud and extreme, but it did nothing to sully its influence or reach. What is a Woman was the perfect antidote to the nonsense peddled by political radicals suffering from extreme mental illness. Never heard of it. Right, Meghan and Harry alienate everyone. I've been talking about him today, in private. Right, Meghan Markle, the heirs to the British throne, even though he's not the immediate heir, but, he's second in line, isn't he? No, he ain't now, is he? He's way down, because William's got his own kids, hasn't he? But one of the heirs to the throne, they shouldn't marry American women. It didn't happen well. It didn't go down well in the 30s, did it? When Edward VIII were forced to abdicate because he married Wallis Simpson. She was an American. And look what's happened when Harry marries an American. Americans and royalty don't mix. Oh dear. There we go. Right, Meghan Markle started out in a winning position when she married Prince Harry of the British royal family, but she quickly destroyed her credibility and likeability with a series of slanted, manipulative and narcissistic power plays that triggered the couple's exit from Buckingham Palace. The public began to see Markle's true colours when she openly accused the royal family of being racist towards her, which raised more than a few eyebrows. Next was the couple's appearance with Oprah Winfrey, where the two talked about their wish to live a quiet and normal life away from the limelight and the cameras, and they've never been away from it since. Naturally, that included as many celebrity appearances as possible and a Netflix series that dove inside the couple's manufactured narrative right down to stealing press shots from another event. Yeah, they did. And passing them off as their own. Public outrage and resentment against Harry and Meghan grew by leaps and bounds and the show quickly flopped. Of course, this latest failure will act as a catalyst for Markle to play the victim once more, a role she has practiced in front of the mirror to perfection at this point. The more people see of Harry and Meghan, the more they are turned off by their lies, deceit, and woke manipulation tactics. Yeah, I mean, he's got a book out now, hasn't he, called Spare, and saying he was the spare of the family, and that's nonsense, isn't it? I mean, Princess Diana apparently referred to him as William's backup, but in a good way. I mean, that's what happens in these sort of situations, these sort of families, that have these hereditary positions. You're bound to, the younger of the brothers in this case, is going to get less attention, isn't he? That's just how it goes. But it's not a spare. Look what happened with, as I just said, with Edward VIII. He had to abdicate. He was the firstborn of the previous king, George V, I think. Yeah, whatever. He became king. He had to abdicate after a short time because he wanted to marry Wallis Simpson. So his younger brother became George VI. So he was the spare, and he ended up becoming king. And of course, he's just said today, I killed 25 Taliban. No, he didn't. I don't think it. Or if he did, they were probably herded into a building, and they were told, oh, fire a missile at that. There's 25 Taliban in there. Because he needed to be blooded. Don't get me started. But he was never in any danger when he was in Afghanistan, I don't think. He wasn't on the front lines, I don't think. Anyway, right. Moving on, Jennifer Lawrence invents strong women, and there she is. She's got a different coloured hair there. Actress Jennifer Lawrence has said some incredibly stupid things in her time, including her insinuation that hurricanes were Mother Nature's wrath against Trump voters. She tried to walk that one back by claiming she was quoted out of context, which she absolutely was not. Whatever, if you take your word for it. Either way, there's a link there, so if you want to follow that link, do so. Nevertheless, Lawrence continues to stick her foot in her mouth at every opportunity, seemingly by compulsion. Her latest mega gaffe occurred when she spoke on Variety's Actors on Actors series, where she claimed she was the first bona fide female action hero. Quote, I remember when I was doing Hunger Games, nobody had ever put a woman in the lead of an action movie because it wouldn't work, because we were told girls and boys can both identify with the male lead, but boys cannot identify with the female lead, the actress claimed. Watch George the Giant Slayer's video on this. It's really good. Online backlash was immediate and millions piled on the well-deserved ridicule with hilarious memes and a never-ending string of digs and jabs. To the point, however, it showcased Lawrence's irritating arrogance and astonishing lack of intelligence, not to mention ignorance of female action movie leads like Carrie Fisher, Sigourney Weaver, Mila Jovovich, Charlize Theron, Uma Thurman, and of course Linda Hamilton, to name but a few. I said there'd be loads, aren't there? Cynthia Rothrock. That's going back, isn't it? There's another one there for you. Whoopi Goldberg defends Adolf Hitler twice. Unbelievable. Screen legend and comedian Whoopi Goldberg has been marching down a path of woke extreme radicalism for years, and the results have been repugnant to say the least. As co-host of the Cognitively Challenged The View panel, Goldberg has used her platform to spew every conspiracy theory and radical talking point imaginable, but none as worse as her stint in 2022. Here we go, as off with his left-wing and right-wing stuff. When discussing the left's ever-favourite topic of rabid obsession, racism, Goldberg suggested that the Holocaust against Jews circa World War II was not done out of racism, but rather man's inhumanity to man. The outrage was swift from both sides of the political sphere, and the show's producers were forced to slap Goldberg on the wrist with a temporary suspension before reinstating her weeks later. I say I don't know the backstory to that, but I don't know. Was it about racism? I mean, this is what I don't get. Is is anti-Semitism racism, or is it just being a knobhead. I don't know. Anyway, after issuing a fake apology and returning to the set, Goldberg bided her time until the end of 2022 in order to double down on her previous comments. In doing so, she reasserted her official position as defence for the Nazi Party and Adolf Hitler by suggesting that it was not about racial hatred. But it was, though. Yes, it was. Yes. When you think about it, take back what I just said. Yes, it was. Because they were impure, weren't they, to Hitler and his cohorts, which is preposterous, insulting, and venomously racist to the core. Even Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, was forced to step in and chastise Goldberg for her comments. The actress attempted once again to feign an insincere apology, insisting her comments were taken out of context. Hard to believe, given the left's virulent hatred of Jews throughout history. What? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, what were it Lenin or Karl Marx? One of them were a Jew. Maybe both of them were. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, don't get me. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that sort of thing. I try and keep out of that area. So anything I say is just I'm speaking through ignorance. So just ignore me. AOC's climate change documentary goes down in flames. I told you it couldn't be a long one, is this? AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I don't know who she is. She's some political person in America. We'll skip over that one. If you want to read that, because I don't give a monkeys about her, we'll skip over that one and we'll go on to She-Hulk, the most expensive troll in history. And there she is. Long-time comic book fans knew exactly what was in store when Disney announced a live-action She-Hulk series for Disney+, which was connected directly to the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. Phase 4 was plagued with problems since its debut, primarily due to head honcho Kevin Feige's... I told you a few videos ago, for some reason, I can't pronounce Kevin Feige's name. I keep wanting to say Feige. I'll be saying Phage next. Kevin Feige's insistence on pushing radical feminism into every fibre of every production. Therefore, he thinks he's being cool. That's what he thinks. Therefore, She-Hulk Attorney at Law was almost a parody of itself. On purpose, the hapless and incompetent writers clearly loathed the source material to such a degree that they purposely trolled fans in the actual show in an attempt to exact revenge on the very people who pay their bills. Yeah, they do. That and She-Hulk was simply a terribly produced show from top to bottom. Oh, bloody awful. Apart from the episode that had, I forgot her name, that ditzy woman in. That was funny. I did enjoy that one. Anyway, viewers began joking on social media. Madison, that was it. The episode with her in was funny. I liked that. Viewers began joking on social media as to what was worse, the cringeworthy third-wave feminist vomit or the rotten CGI. Indeed, Disney blew a bundle on She-Hulk, supposedly spending $75 million on just 3 out of 9 episodes. That's nearly 30% more than what it cost to make the first Deadpool film. When the show inevitably bombed, the woke writers did what they always do, blame the fans. It came like clockwork, yet convinced no one, especially since the majority of the supposedly gigantic audience for this kind of content never showed up to watch a single episode. She-Hulk was universally panned across the board. And of course, Daredevil was in it and had to do the walk of shame because, she banged him. For good reason. The entire point of the show was to troll long-time comic book fans, but it ended up leaving Disney with yet another massive financial loss at a time when they were already struggling in the wake of duds like Eternals, Black Widow and Shang-Chi. The million-dollar question, as always, is how much money can a company lose before it snaps out of its own delusions? This is it, though, with streaming services. They get this money every month from the subscribers, and so they make shows and stuff and spend a lot of money on them. But if those shows don't attract new subscribers, then they're going to be losing money, essentially, aren't they? Anyway, what's this one? We'll skip that one because it's on about Dave Chappelle, J.K. Rowling. Right, Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill exits The Witcher. Henry Cavill is Geralt of Rivia. Make no mistake. Was it Geralt or Geralt? It's Geralt, isn't it? Some apprehension arose when a live-action Witcher series was announced by Netflix. By the way, I'll be carrying on my playthrough of Witcher 3 when my PlayStation 5 camera arrives. I've ordered one, so I can be on screen. You see my ugly mug and me sort of like going, ah! when I do things wrong, which is quite often. Anyway, some apprehension arose when the live-action Witcher series was announced by Netflix and the Man of Steel actor in the lead role, but all doubts were cast aside when he debuted in the first season. Perhaps that's why it's such a tragically laughable twist of irony that Cavill has now exited The Witcher after just 2 seasons. 3, he's doing a third one, leaving the showrunners scrambling in panic. Cavill is no stranger to siding with fans, and indeed, that's what makes him one of the most appealing celebrities in an age of out-of-control leftism and woke pandering. He could have just said out-of-control woke pandering, left the leftism out of it. Season 2 of The Witcher took unceremonious liberties with the source material, which upset many fans, and Cavill himself was no exception. By the way, I've not seen The Witcher series. I saw episode 1. I didn't like it, so I haven't seen any others. I like Henry Cavill, though. But, here it is. That's the video. Henry Cavill defends fans from toxic fandom, trap question. You watch that. You should watch that. In fact, shall we watch it now? Sod it.
There's something really interesting with this character that I find fascinating, which is that he genuinely really does just want to do the right thing.
I think he got a hateful
everywhere
face.
He goes, whether it's a new town or a new bar, people just kind of give him a hard time and they rag on him despite the fact that he has great intentions. I'm curious if that's comparable to this sort of world, this culture of toxic fandom, where like if you make a movie, especially if you make a superhero movie, you have great intentions, but there are always going to be a small yet vocal group of people there can kind of just be toxic.
I understand what you're saying, but when it comes to fans, it is a fan's right to have whatever opinion they want to have. And people are going to be upset because, especially when you're talking about books or games, because you're never going to be the exact person who they had in their head or who they played on Witcher 3, for example. I don't necessarily consider that toxic. I just consider that passionate.
There you go. There you go. That's Henry Cavill saying it as it is. Obviously, there are arseholes out there, but they're in a minority. But they just get noticed more, I suppose. Anyway, after clashing with showrunner Lauren Hisrich over canonical issues, I think about the death of his horse or something. She wanted to make a big joke about it, but he said no. This has got to be done seriously and delicately for the fans. Cavill exited stage left, and the show's future is now in doubt. It couldn't have happened at the worst time, especially given the recent debut of The Witcher Blood Origin, which is getting torn apart by fans as insincere and ingenuine add-on content. Not seen that either, but I've heard it's rubbish. For his part, Cavill actively campaigned for the role of Geralt with a passion rarely glimpsed by Hollywood celebrities. After finally scoring the role, he gave it his all, and it was backed up by a knowledge of the source material that the writers found politically inconvenient. Instead, they meddled with the story and lost their linchpin as a result, and have gone on to slam him, haven't they? Defame him publicly, saying he was a problem on set, because he knew what he was talking about. Fans should remember that Cavill is an avid video gamer who builds his own PCs and has expressed interest in creating a Warhammer cinematic universe. Not just an interest, he's doing it, isn't he? His refusal to stick with the show, so obviously compromised by woke feminists, while simultaneously taking slings and arrows in defence of the fans, is something worthy of salute in an entertainment world largely bereft of conviction and principles. Here we go, Frosk. Frosk kills G4 with a childish woke rant. There she is. Indiana Frosk Black kicked off the left's descent into total failure and self-ownage in 2022 with an unhinged woke rant akin to detonating demolition charges on an old grain silo. During her ill-advised tirade, Frosk railed against sexism in gaming, using her less bangable, her words not ours, appearance as the comparison. After the insufferable diatribe had mercifully concluded, other G4 alums rushed out in typical White Knight fashion to defend her, while tens of thousands of former G4 fans struggled to comprehend what they had just witnessed. It was the beginning of the end for a disastrous and embarrassing relaunch of the legendary G4, and not even brand restructuring and a course correction were sufficient to keep things going. Yeah, but apparently, yeah, it was her rant and stuff, but they all knew she was going to say it, apparently, from what I've heard. The producers and all that were behind what she had to say. They knew what she was going to say. And there's Adam Sessler talking about nonsense. G4's YouTube channel hemorrhaged subscribers. It did. If you see it. Excuse me. G4's YouTube channel hemorrhaged subscribers. Network president Russell Aarons bailed after less than a year, and massive layoffs hit the company. To which, Frosk, with a unbelievable incapability of, seeing the bigger picture, did a tweet saying, "I survived." Your bloody fault, you silly cow. Jesus. G4 represents one of the least successful relaunches of a brand in corporate history, but there really is no mystery as to why. Frosk wasn't totally to blame for the debacle. She was like the spark. Former G4 host Adam Sessler went on a Twitter tirade threatening physical violence against detractors. Well, he's mental. Look at his eyes, he's mental. Hurling mom insults and wishing death upon members of his own family for their conservative political views. Why don't you just say right wing? You call left, others, they call him left wing, but, when you agree with them, it's conservative. Just say right wing then. This is why I don't do politics. It gets me angry. When the dust had settled, because I'm neither left wing nor right wing, I don't do any politics. When the dust had settled, G4 became Exhibit A as to why nobody should ever hire deranged woke, the radicals, ever. The Rings of Power becomes Amazon's costliest mistake, the $1 billion series. I think it's going to have a major course correction for season 2. Anyway, when Amazon announced a prequel Lord of the Rings series, few were excited. Peter Jackson had already created a 3-part masterpiece in the original Lord of the Rings film trilogy, yet Amazon's own show, The Rings of Power, foolishly thought it could replicate that level of success. It was a disaster from day one, with pessimism circling the show's pre-production like a bad cloud. Fans had plenty to be worried about, since Amazon was a mega-corporation with no experience in productions of this scale, not to mention the pervasive and permeating culture of wokeness that had taken root within the company years prior. Arondir, there we go, that's his name, Arondir in The Lord of the Rings. I actually quite liked his character, although they were underutilised. When the first images and trailers eventually dropped, all their worst fears had been confirmed. From day one, Amazon botched the unveiling and marketing for the Rings of Power by purposely putting racial identity politics at the forefront rather than the story. Next, it bastardised its characters into oblivion, particularly fan favourite Galadriel. Yeah, she's just called Galadriel. She's not the Galadriel, in my opinion. She's a Galadriel. The show was a convoluted, contradictory bore, mired in lazy and immature writing, terrible pacing, predictable plot devices and twists, and of course rotten character development. All this on top of a writing team that openly lied about its knowledge of the source material, then overtly refused to listen to critical fan feedback. They even sacked their main Tolkien scholar, didn't they, Tom Shippey? Because, he had the gall to say, "You're not doing this right." Sir Lenny Henry in Lord of the Rings, then he apparently pops up again in Blood Origins with pointy ears again. Has he got his own? He must have his own that he takes to auditions. Don't know. The Rings of Power was a masterclass in, here we go, just a woke arrogance and narcissism, and fans responded by tuning out in droves. If nothing else, it's a testament to what happens when the unyielding mind virus of wokeism infiltrates powerful companies like Amazon, turning cultural foundations into crumbling ruins. Yeah, it does. What's this one? Disney, and finds out. Yeah, Disney stock went down, didn't it? Whatever. What's in store for 2023? We're getting to the end now, looks like it. That's Isom, innit, from Eric July. So he did well, didn't he? He did well, did Eric July. Congratulations to him. I'm not a big comic book person, to be honest, but, cool that an independent chap like Eric July Did his Ripperverse. Could have found a better name, but went from strength to strength, and brought his comic out, and issue 2's well on its way apparently. Last year, I, the fellow that wrote this, predicted that 2022 will signal the end of woke cultural progression and force them to stop dead in their tracks. Damn. It remains to be seen whether they can be pushed back, but certainly no future ground will be given. I think companies are seeing that being too woke is a bad. Well, they don't see it as being a bad thing, but it's not a money maker, and it annoys the audience if they're being lectured to. So I can see it being scaled back a little bit, but it'll still be there. Where were we? No future ground will be given. All attempts to the left, here we go, made in 2022 to cement their stranglehold were met with utter failure, and there's no reason to think that trajectory will change in 2023. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, and that's it. There we go. So they're saying that I think it'll carry on for a while, but I don't think it'll be as pronounced, in my opinion. The woke messaging in series and films. I think it's getting pulled back because the old adage "get woke, go broke" has been proven to be true. But they're trying to blame it on COVID, aren't they? But anyway, but that's not really the fault of COVID. It's it's what the companies did during COVID, like HBO and Warner Brothers, dumping all their films straight onto HBO Max, or doing what they call day and date releases. What's day and date mean? I don't know, but day and date releases, in the theatres and on HBO Max at the same time. That's why they lost money. People would rather watch stuff at home. Right, we'll get out of here because that were a long one. As I say, if you want to read the full article, the link's in the description. As I say, I hate the term woke, and I hate when the Brits say left wing and conservative and all that. It's just about pandering to minorities, and nothing against minorities, but you're a minority for a reason. I'm not saying it's bad to be a minority. I'm in a minority, probably. I don't know, of something. I've got ankylosing on my tongue. That makes me a minority because I'm technically disabled, sort of. But anyway, I'm waffling, so we'll leave it there. Might not even upload this. Sod it, I will. Sod it. Right. Wherever you are in the universe, look after each other. I've dug myself a hole with this one, and look out for each other. And until next time, I'll see thee.